What is the most annoying thing a guest has done in your home? Invite their own guest to stay with us for 5 days. None of them were invited to stay over. Relatives. That is so freaking rude. My best friend wouldn't freaking leave. When I asked her what her going home plans were after 6 days, she said, I don't plan my life that way. We are 30. Left his trash everywhere and then started to complain because of that trash laying around. Is he a freaking sim? I invited a former college classmate to come and stay at my house when I found out he was homeless. I knew he had issues with drinking but was not aware that he had come to include other addictions. It was late in the evening when I picked him up and brought him home. I showed him his room, the bathroom, told him to help himself to anything in the fridge. Less than 2 hours later I woke up to the smoke alarm going off. I guess he had decided to smoke some Benadryl that was in the medicine cabinet. I'm not really sure what went on, but he scorched my coffee table and a small patch of laminate flooring, plus he melted a spot in my area rug big enough that I had to replace it. He also broke my favorite glass and for some reason that still baffles me, smashed the remote for my TV into several pieces. Needless to say, I had to show him the door. The next day I told him he needed to go to the addictions clinic at the hospital and tell them he needed help because he was a danger to himself and others. People with bad addictions do weird crap. An old friend had a girl stay over one night when he got pretty drunk and took her home. She ripped the cables out of his live web servers, cut them up with the scissors, and left tiny sharp bits of copper wire in his bed and all over the house. Let their little kid wipe his butt with my guest towels, instead of, asking where the toilet paper is. A kid whose parents didn't supervise him. He was probably 8 or 9 at the time and would get into anything, especially stuff computer related. He would dig through drawers and open boxes looking for gadgets to play with, only to frick them up or lose something. We finally told the parents they couldn't bring him back when he got into the kitchen and turned on the glass top stove while a pizza box was on it. Started a small, quickly extinguished fire and the house smelled like smoke for about a week. I was at work all day and I always close my door before leaving. Always. My mum had guests over and decided, hey, let's show the guests everyone's rooms and all the rooms in the house in general. Well, one lady, whom I had never met, didn't like how I arranged my room, so while everyone was at dinner, I work from 11:30 am to about 9 PM, 6 days a week, so I wasn't there when this happened. She went into my room and rearranged my desk, the clothes in my drawers and closet, all my pictures, and threw out some knickknacks that were given to me by old friends but she thought were trash I hadn't thrown out yet. I was peed. She totally admitted it, but didn't seem to feel bad at all. My mum was upset too, but not as much as me. They're no longer friends but I'm not sure why. Probably cause she threw out some of my mum's knickknacks as well. At my son's first birthday party, my stepmom's mother, who wasn't even invited, made the comment, your wife says she isn't materialistic, but you sure have a lot of stuff. We were living in a small 2-bedroom apartment and my son's room, which had toys and other presents, was also my office and the only storage we had. She sounds like a total B. I hope you haven't had any interaction with her again. My dad collects fossils and found the lower half of a human jaw. He called the police when he found it but they told him it was quite old and couldn't do anything with it. In the end he was allowed to keep it and the jawbone is on display in his poker room. My mother's cousin stayed with them for a visit, picked it up by each end and pressed them inward exclaiming, oh is this real? The piece snapped in half. Dad quietly removed the bits from my cousin's hands and left the room. He put it together with some scotch tape. Just wanted to give you some advice to pass on to your dad in case you're interested. I'm a professional paleontologist, have a degree and a job at a big museum, and scotch tape is not archival and can damage fossils. Super glue, however, is archival. It can be reversed using acetone. I'd recommend he use this to fix his fossils and remove any scotch tape very carefully. Took explosive shoots that left crap spattered all over the toilet every single day for the month that he was residing in our house. Didn't think to clean it up. One of my mother's friends is not only a raging alcoholic but is also on ridiculous amount of prescription drugs. One night she was staying with my parents and fell asleep in a leather recliner because of aforementioned alcohol and drugs. At some point in the middle of the night she crapped herself, again because of the aforementioned alcohol and drugs, and instead of being a good guest and decent human being and being embarrassed by it and doing her damnedest to clean it up, she threw the blanket she was sleeping under over her mess and then went upstairs to sleep in one of the beds. Then she just told my mother about it in the morning and then left. My mother used bleach and every cleaner under the sun to clean up the mess, and she did, but she ended up just throwing the chair out because how could you ever really look at it the same way again? The most shocking detail in this story is that my mother is still friends with this lady. Not my house but my car. I don't have many rules for passengers when I'm driving, but there are two I will never budge on. 1. Wear your seatbelt. 2. Do not smoke in my car. I had just bought a car. It wasn't brand new, but I knew the previous and only owner, and I knew he was a car guy who took meticulous care of his cars inside and out. He wouldn't even sell me the car before he had given the engine a proper service. Within a week of getting the car, a friend asked for a lift to the train station. I knew he smoked, so as we walked to the car I told him specifically to wait until we get to the station before he lights up. A 10-minute ride at most. I back out of the parking spot, drive to the exit of the parking lot, and as I check my left hand side for oncoming cars I hear from my right the distinctive sound of a lighter sparking up. Dude could not even freaking wait until we were out of the freaking car park before he just had to have his goddamn cigarette. I ask him what the heck he thinks he's doing and he just looks at me and says, "Relax. It's not like it's a new car." Sucker ended up walking to the train station. My late partner was very sick with leukemia. After over a year of being his 24/7 caregiver, I got the opportunity to go abroad for a work trip. My partner insisted I go because I deserved a break from caregiving and that his deadbeat brother would fill in as caregiver while I was gone. While his brother was staying within our home, he brought his cat, which is a no-no for someone who living with zero immune system, did the absolute minimum to take care of my partner and left him basically to figure out meds food on his own. And the final blow was he stole the big piggy bank that we were using to save for his bucket list vacation before he died, then denied he did it. It makes my blood boil thinking about it. My aunt took a crap in the bathroom, a given, considering we were having a BBQ. But instead of throwing the used tissue in the toilet or even the bin, she put it inside the bathtub. I told my mom, who put her on blast in front of the whole fam. She doesn't come to the cookouts anymore. Drank all of my favorite tea, and used 2 bags in each cup. It's the only tea out of the 80 varieties in the cabinet I said to not use much of. It was difficult to get because only one store carried it and it was a big trip to go get. Then right after she drank it all, I went to replace it and the store no longer carried it. My partner recently found it online and bought me a box though. This was technically in a dorm room, not a real home, but I had the audacity to wake up my roommate's boyfriend by walking into my room, where he was asleep at 3 in the afternoon, and he immediately launched into a political argument with me. Stole my jacket. My roommate's friend took it because he didn't bring one and it was cold when he left. Then when I tried to get it back he denied taking it and threw it in the trash. He is and always will be a useless sack of rotten, pickled dongs. Ate my go-gurts I had in the fridge for bad days while I was recovering from a major spinal surgery. Encouraged the other guests to join in. Hogged the sofa which I needed to sleep on since my back couldn't handle the floor again. Still very much in recovery from a major surgery. Refused to give up spot on said sofa. Acted offended when I left the room to sleep on another sofa. Didn't flush the toilet. Almost broke my laptop doing something I told her not to do because it could break my laptop. No matter how much you've missed your friends while spending over a month in recovery, do not invite them over for a sleepover when you're still in a lot of pain. Also just don't invite buttholes. Last weekend I spent all day cooking for all my friends. I slow cooked chicken all day, made fresh salsa and guac, etc. We all got drunk and ate. I put everything away so I could save it for meals later. I'm poor so it was supposed to feed me for a bit. Well, after I went to bed, this freaking C took the food out to make tacos and didn't put it away. So I had to throw away all the food I spent all day cooking. I'm still peed and getting mad just writing this. My uncle once reorganized my entire kitchen. It wouldn't have been horrible. Aggravating, yes, but not horrible, except that he moved the fire extinguisher and didn't tell anyone. So when I accidentally started a small grease fire, I couldn't find the extinguisher, and that's how I burned my hands, destroyed my stove, and nearly burned my kitchen down. All because he just had to rearrange my freaking kitchen. My mother-in-law does this every time she comes to visit and it pees me off to no end. I have a small cupboard just next to the hob which I use for salt, spices and sauces. That way I can just grab them while I'm cooking. After she visits, I'll open the cupboard only to be assaulted by straws or napkins. Told me that we get to do what I want since I'm the guest, but whenever I went to her house she'd say we do what I want because I'm the host. Sounds like my former best friend. I pick the music in the car because you're distracted driver. Mind you, this cheap butt never drove because boohoo gas is expensive. No, I pick the music in my car. You can play whatever in your car, but you take over the radio in my car, cause your music sucks. When my cousin was my roommate, a trashy sad redneck boyfriend would come over and use all of my pots and pans and then leave them for me to clean up after him. One night I got so peed I dumped the entire sink full of their mess onto her bed and covered it with a blanket. Never again. Walked in while I was on the bathroom. I understand if it was a silly accident, but I had loud music from my phone and the lights were on. It was obvious I was inside. She still entered and didn't back out after seeing the lights were on or listening the music. Only when she saw me naked. She wanted to see you naked. Decorated the Christmas tree. A bit of backstory. In my family, the Christmas tree isn't just some pretty thing to look at. It's a relic of family history. Every ornament was a gift from a family member or friend. Some of them were generations old. Decorating the tree was something we all did together, and we'd put the ornaments we'd been gifted on the tree. I wanted to pass that on to my daughter, that each ornament was special and meant something. Then, along came my late father-in-law's girlfriend. She was a self-proclaimed authority on everything, from how to properly cook carrots up to how to decorate a Christmas tree. Knowing how she was, I made it clear that we were going to hang the ornaments together after we got back from some last-minute shopping. We got back, and she decorated the tree herself. She stood proudly in front of it, waiting for us to tell her how beautiful it was. B simply didn't listen. Now you've got me having imaginary arguments with a woman I've never met because she decorated a Christmas tree that isn't mine. Threw their baby's dirty diapers under my bed the entire weekend. Wasn't fun when I found them all after they left Sunday night. They also stole the $50 worth of coins from my piggy bank. Guessed, I wonder what would happen if I picked the cat up by its tail. Me, you would hurt her. Don't do it. Change of subject. Guessed, once my back is turned. Yoink. Cat, meow. 2 feet off the ground. Terrified. Guest's wife. I'm so sorry. Guessed, haha. That's when you pick them up by the ear and throw them out the fricking door. People who are cruel to animals and think it's funny are the kinds of people you don't need in your life. Wasn't home when this happened, but some family friend I've never met and their kid comes over one afternoon. Kid gets bored and decided it's a great idea to disassemble every Lego build I've kept over the last 10 years. Almost everything was built from imagination, so no instructions to rebuild again. I was devastated when I got home seeing Lego pieces spread across the entire floor of my room. Kill. A chick I had met online years prior asked to stay. She is from the US. I am in a US. She didn't shower the whole time and literally stank up my house, made a mad mess, ate everything. Then when she was leaving, I was baking a cake for someone at work's B-day. She said goodbye and left to go to another chick's house. I discovered later that day she had taken the cake with her. The next house she went to, she didn't shower either. We all met on the same website, and the next victim of her stank was now living in a US from California, and we regularly hang out still. She ate all their food too. Stank twice as bad as a heatwave occurred, and then drank all the alcohol from their house, replacing it with water and tea. They didn't discover this until weeks after she left, as they weren't big drinkers. Asked a couple who is friends of my BF to watch my home for a little less than 2 weeks. I left my home sparkling clean, fridge packed full of their favorite goodies, movie tickets, gift certificates, bottles of beer and wine, and my car to use as they pleased. since neither of them have their own car or live on their own. Upon returning home around 10 p.m, after 20+ hours of flights and traveling, the house was filthy. The floor was covered in dirt. Counters were crammed with crap as if they pulled everything out from the cabinets and left them. Beer bottles were left empty on every surface. Pistachio nutshells were thrown on the floor and left strewn on my bedside table and bedroom dresser. Their dirty underwears were just left on the bathroom floor. The kitchen sink was filled with nearly all of my dishes which had been used and left dirty. Most of my Tupperware was now in the fridge filled with their leftover food. My patio furniture was pulled into my bedroom and used as a game setup with my bedroom TV moved to a different spot. They left sex oil on my nightstand. They somehow broke my washing machine. They threw out all of my chemical cleaning supplies and replaced them with organic cleaning supplies, aka vinegar and water. When we got into my apartment, they said, "Wow, it's so weird to have you here. It's like this was our house, and now it's yours. Like, this was always my freaking house. How could you forget that so quickly?" They seemed in no rush to leave. They sat in the living room and opened up some beer. I didn't rush them out. I also did not bother to help them clean up their huge mess. I was exhausted and fell asleep on the couch while my BF awkwardly made small talk and unwillingly hung out. The next morning, I get a text from the girlfriend saying she thought it was disgusting and rude of me not to wear a bra when I fell asleep, implying that I was trying to turn her BF on. First of all, I was wearing a freaking bra. My nips are just always rock hard for some reason. And I was wearing a sports bra on the plane, so not much padding there anyway. Also, if I didn't want to wear a bra to go to bed, I don't need to because I'm in my own freaking house. There are so many more things they did that irritated me. These are just a few I can remember right off the bat. I had a house guest turn the toilet paper rolls around to face the other direction. I flipped them back, only to find them backwards again the next day. My feelings on this depend on which way you hang your toilet paper. Using one of my socks to jerk off, then stuffing it under my couch, for me to find a crusty sock a month later. I immediately knew. So disrespectful. I put it on Facebook and tagged him in it. I asked my friends, a couple, to watch my house while I was away. By watch I meant check in every few days and bring in my mail. They thought I meant stay there, sleep in my bed, make a huge mess, stink up the kitchen with burned food which they left in the pot for a week, ruining the pot, and, well, I guess that's it. I was most displeased. Frick my wife. My grandma is the kind of person who just can't relax. A few years back her and my granddad came to town for Christmas, and she's doing her usual thing of wandering around the house to give herself small chores and stay busy, unplugging lamps, doing insanely small loads of laundry, sweeping up microscopic messes. This drove my family nuts for a while, but we've all learned to ignore it and we kind of just let her do her thing while we enjoy conversation and play board games. When all of a sudden, she walks straight up to my mom with the confidence of a swaggering pirate and asks, "Dear, do you think we could take everything out of the fridge, look at it, then put it back?" My mom just looked confused and shocked for a few seconds before non-committally stating, "No," and then everything went back to the status quo. We still talk about it all the time. You have been visited by the ingenious Joe. Comment brain so you always see the glass half full. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.